like to start tonight with reading some verses in the book of Psalms, chapter 141, verses 8 through 10. It says, "But mine eyes are unto thee, O God, the Lord. In thee is my trust. Leave not my soul destitute. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins, or the traps, of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape." I'd like to talk tonight about the idea of keeping our eyes on the Lord, keeping our attention focused on God. In the Bible, there's a parable that I think probably most of us are very familiar with, the sower and the seed, and how the sower went out to plant his seed, and there's the different grounds there that it talks about, the wayside, the stony, the thorns, and the good ground. But the one I want to look at is the thorny ground. And it says that the people who are like unto the thorny grounds are people that hear the word of God, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of other things entering in choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. In other words, just things of life. You know, I don't think it takes us very long after we're born to start experiencing some cares of life. Sure. You know, they're not very big, but I know when Amelia's born, or Leroy, it doesn't take very long. Their care is very small. Just feed me. But as we go through life, those cares of life grow and become bigger. Right. And we can let those things take our attention. Right. It's like this thorny ground here. It took their attention, and pretty soon there was no good seed left, because all the attention was going to the thorns. And that can be the way that we do our life when it comes to the Lord. This October, when we headed down south, we were pulling a trailer with Jim side by side on it, and everything was going good. And we got into Indio, and I've discovered this thing that's really wonderful for people like me who really would rather not go shopping. And it's that I can, order all my stuff from Walmart, and we can pick it up. So I planned it, and, what time are we going to be going through Indio, the last big city before we head out to the desert. And we headed there to pick up our groceries. Well, if you've ever been to Walmart pickup, they have all the marked slots, and so we were looking, and because we have that trailer behind us. It's not a big trailer, but it's a trailer, and we were looking to make sure, can we fit in there? Yep, think we can do it. We agreed. I want to make sure this is not Jim's fault. Okay, I was there too. I was agreeing. We agreed. Yep, we can fit there. So we ease into the parking lot spot, and there's this thump. And Jim looks at me and says, "What was that?" And I looked at him and said, "I don't know." And we looked around, and then we looked at each other, because we knew what it was. We were so busy focusing on the trailer behind us, we forgot what was sitting in the bed of our truck. And in the bed of the truck, there's a truck camper. That's one of those RVs that sit in the bed of the truck, and they've got the bit that goes over the cab of the truck where your bed is, and we ran into the canopy. So we pulled back and went around to get out of the way, and got out to look at it, and couldn't see anything wrong. We were, wow, it looks good. We hit, but it looks good. So we pulled back around to get our groceries, and Jim opened up the camper, and he says, "Not so good." That thump was us knocking our AC unit out of place. But we were so focused. We should have known better. We knew that camper was back there. We'd spent the last couple nights sleeping in it. We'd eaten in it. We knew it was there. up there, not back there. The trailer was back there. We knew it was there, but we lost focus on what was important here, and it was what was up above us. And we can do that spiritually, lose focus on what is important. There's another verse in Hebrews that says, let us lay aside every weight. It is so easy. I mean, we're here, we're living life, and we have concerns. And some of them are very real concerns. But it says here to lay those aside. It says they so easily beset us. In other words, we're really looking forward to picking up those things. We just think we've got to care about things. We don't have to. God could take care of those things for us. But that verse continues, says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. We need to keep focused on the important thing. In Matthew, the 14th chapter, starting at the 23rd verse, we have another section of scriptures that you're probably familiar with. Jesus, it says, and when he, Jesus, had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a spirit. And they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Jesus was right there with him. I mean, he was just right there. And I don't want, really, I can't fault Peter. I wouldn't have even gotten out of the boat. But he did. He did. And he was doing fine until he started looking around. And still he got his focus off what was important, started looking around, and he started sinking. But he did something really smart. He called out to Jesus. He brought his focus right back to Jesus, and in that, he was saved. But he was right there with Jesus in a physical presence. Now, we don't have that. We walk by faith. If here it was kind of easy to lose your focus, how much easier might it be for us who don't see a physical Jesus walking beside us? It can happen, and the Bible teaches us many, many verses to be careful, to watch and pray. Deuteronomy 4:9 says, only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of your life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. Diligently, looked it up, says characterized by steady, earnest, and energetic effort, persevering. In other words, you've got to pay attention to this. You've got to keep working on it. Right. So keep thy soul carefully, lest you forget. In other words, keep your attention focused. And another one in Joshua says, but take diligent heed to do the commandment and the law which Moses, the servant of the Lord, charged you. So we need to be diligent. We need to be careful. We need to be watchful. Why is it so important? Well, we find that in the Bible too. 1 Peter 5, 8, and 9. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour, whom resist steadfastly in the faith. I don't have any pet lions, but I do have a pet cat. And they're kind of interesting to watch because, they just never run right up and pounce on something. They walk around and they, do the little cat thing and they sniff it and, they might just sit there for a long time looking at it before they decide, okay, I'm moving in for the kill. Well, cats are really just kind of small lions. And it says here that the devil is going around as a roaring lion, just like that cat. He's walking around, he's scoping it out, he's seeing which way to go. I read this about lions, that lions are fierce predators. I don't think that comes as a surprise, that often stalk their prey before attacking. Their attacks cause prey to panic and disperse, allowing the lions to isolate and attack a weaker or slower individual. It's very well planned. They don't, like I said, the cat, they don't just rush in there. They're who is vulnerable? That's the one I'm going to go after today. We don't have to be vulnerable. If we're keeping our focus on God, we won't be vulnerable. We will not be. It's important to keep our focus on the Lord, on what is important. In Joshua, the book talks about the conquest of the promised land, and the first battle is or the city they battle is Jericho, and we call it a battle. I think it was more of a victory than a battle, but anyway, so they conquered Jericho, and the next one is a city called Ai, and Joshua sent some men to look at it. Good thing to do. And they came back and said, this is easy. We just need a small force. We've got this one. And so off they went. Well, it didn't end up so good. And it says there in that chapter, and the men of Ai smote of them about 36 men, for they chased them from before the gate, even unto Shebarim, and smote them in the going down. Wherefore the hearts of the people melted and became as water. The rest of the 7th chapter goes on and talks about what the problem was. Why were they defeated? Because somebody had disobeyed the Lord. The Lord had said, don't take anything from this city. Somebody had done it. And so in the rest of the 7th chapter there talks about how they're dealing with that. And then it comes to the 8th chapter, and it's time to face Ai again. And the Lord gave him a plan. He says, I want you to put men in ambush over here, and this is what you're going to do. And so that's what they did. By night, some of the men went into ambush over beside the city there, close to it, and in the morning, Joshua led the troops up to the gate, and the people of Ai, they looked and they thought, we've been here before. We know what to do. Anyway, so the battle went, and pretty soon Joshua and his army turned and started running away from the city. And the people of Ai, it says here, and all the people that were in Ai were called together to pursue after them. And they pursued after Joshua and were drawn away from the city. And there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel that went not out after Israel. And they left the city open and pursued after Israel. So they went tearing out of their city, left their city wide open, chasing the Israelites. And then they found out when the Israelites, those that were in ambush, went in and lit their city on fire, and all at once Joshua and his people turn around and start coming at them, they realized, we've got a problem. We forgot to stay focused on a very important thing. If they had books of battle instructions back in those days, I'm pretty sure one of the things would say is not to leave your city open without somebody to protect it. But they lost track. They lost focus. They thought, we've got this. We know what to do. And, of course, they lost their city. We need to stay focused. I was thinking on this that, staying focused, how do you keep yourself focused? And I was thinking about driving. First off, I don't really like driving. But I've driven in England, and of course they drive on the wrong side of the street. They're on the left. And as you drive and you take a corner, I got myself in the habit of thinking every time before I turned, think left, think left, think left. So you turn, you think left, and you go into the left lane. And it's the same way in grocery stores that follows through. They shop on the left side, not the right side. So think left. And I just keep reminding myself, think left. And it works. We can follow similar things when it comes to God. If we keep our focus on God and the good things that God would have us to think on, we've got this. God did not intend a Christian life to really be hard. Right. It's not. You look at his simple instructions. What was the commandment that was important? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your strength, and your soul. Mm-hmm. To love your neighbor as yourself. That's not, could be hard if your neighbors are cantankerous, but even if you have cantankerous neighbors, we can pray about it, can't we? And God can take care of that and resolve those situations. I knew a man named Jack one time. We used to do a lot of business with him. And he was an older guy. And I remember one time I was sitting in his office, and he was a good Christian man. And he told me, every day when I get up, I say, God, show me if I do something wrong today. Every day before he went to bed, he'd say, God, did I do anything wrong today? If we have that kind of attitude, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're going to hear those words that I think we all want to hear. God say, well done. Well done. Won't that be something? When you stand before God and he looks at you and says, well done. Oh, it'll be a great day.